All right, exercise number one in our warm up today is our lizard lunge to a hamstring pulse. Now, really, what this is just a dynamic flow between a long lunge position in what we'll call lizard position, which is dropping your elbows down. Some of you guys are going to have different mobility, accessibility here, so you might be able to get your elbows and forearms all the way down. And all you're going to be doing is flowing between this and a hamstring stretch. Okay, so we're opening the hips up. You're welcome to move around here as much as possible, as much as you feel you need. In the program, it states you have certain repetitions. You can also just use a time domain as well and just play or simply go by feel. When doing this hamstring stretch, remember, you're going to try and lean forward into this position as much as possible. Use as much rotation or as play as needed in your lizard position as well as your hamstring position to open your hips up for what's to come. All right, we've now just come out of the lizard lunge to hamstring, and now we're going to get a little bit more into the high hip flexors. So you're going to start with a little bit of a hip flexor with a reach back as your second warm-up drill. And again, this one's going to be one of those exercises that you can do as repetitions or just play and really feel for what you need. Spend as much time as required in each one of these positions. So when doing the reach back, what you're going to do is you're going to drive, you're going to sit in a lunge position, back knee down. You're going to drive your hip forward and down as far as you have available in your warm-up. Come up maybe 1 inch from there and simply reach back overhead. Now you can just stay in this position and count your reach backs as part of your repetition scheme, or you can start and go through this whole routine each time. So drive the hip down as far as possible, come back slightly and reach. Start up nice and tall, drive the hip down, accessing more range, come slightly up from and reach. Now the reach back is not actually necessary, it's just a nice addition to this setup, or you can simply pulse through the hip flexor position here, thinking chest high, collarbones high, moving the knee as far forward as possible, dropping the hip as far as possible. Again, play with these positions, knowing where we're going. And now we have our end range liftoffs. Now that we finished our lizard lunge to hamstring and our hip flexor reach backs. Now today is alternating, where yesterday we had bilateral if you have capacity or range for it. When you're doing this, remember, you can move your hand positions forward to make it more difficult. And then just as part of the warm-up, it's not necessary to make it the hardest possible, but simply just to wake up the hip flexors in end range strength. So by contracting them at end range, we're going to be doing 20 repetitions of our alternating end range liftoffs. All right, now we find ourselves in our isolation exercises for the program. So we have our deep quad hip flexor stretch in the couch stretch, and we have our hamstring contract relax stretch. So both of these come with a little bit more details with regard to the contract relax setup, but as you're doing it, if you want to just simply hold the position, that's totally fine. You can use it as an isometric, no problem here. Now, what we're going to do when we're in this position is you have to modify and find your best end range position or your best way to maximize this stretch. Now, when setting it up, I'm using a wall. You can use a chair, you can use a bench, you can use other variations. Now, I'm flexible enough to get my knee deep down into the crease of the wall. If not, you might need to start here with your your knee a little farther away from the wall. That's totally fine. It's up to you. Okay, so you find where the best position is for you. Now, we're going to try, in the goal in time is to be able to get nice and tall and get back onto the wall. Now, for some of you, that might be here or even here. Ideally, though, we're going to try and stay a bit taller rather than lean forward, okay? So the very first round, you might just want to do isometric, find your position, see where you have to be, okay? What we want to have is still access to the glutes. So you want to be able to squeeze the glutes because that's where our contract relax is going to come into play. Now, here's how our contract relax session is going to work. So this is one repetition. You're going to start by squeezing your glutes and driving your hips forward and turning your pelvis posteriorly. So we're going to go 10-second contractions. Squeeze and hold. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As soon as you've done that, you're going to push deeper into the stretch for a 10-second hold. So a more aggressive stretch for 10 seconds. And once you've done that, you're just going to relax, not fall out of stretch, but just stay for 20 seconds. And then you have repetitions of this. So this means we're going to be in this position for a very long time. So it's glute contraction, driving the hips forward and turning the pelvis back, and then driving with the front leg, pushing ourselves deeper. Maybe you can use hand position here to get a deeper stretch if you want, but we're trying to relax the glutes to this position. And then we're going to kind of hold and relax for 20 seconds. This is going to be your first isometric hold. Sorry, not isometric hold, your isolation exercise. So we're isolating the quads and the hip flexors here to gain deeper range of motion, which we can use in our passive stretch, which is to come. All right, now we're going to move into our second isolation exercises. We're going to spend a lot of the time today, and this is going to be on your box elevated hamstring contract relax stretch. So I hope I don't get out of the frame here. So, but what you're going to do is you're going to find a chair or something elevated to put your heel up onto. You're going to lean with good position. So think about pushing your hips back to a wall behind you, trying to find that deep hamstring stretch. Whether this knee bends or stays straight is immaterial, but the thing is you're looking for this stretch. You want to find that deep stretch position. Once you find that, if you round your back a bit, that's okay, right? But we're not looking to excessively round our back. Now, when we're here, you can hold onto the knee or hold onto your leg, or you can use the surface if you want. Probably depends on your flexibility. Now, the contract relax is going to look like this. You're going to push down for 10 seconds, contracting the hamstring. So it's down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The reverse is to squeeze your quads and attempt to lift, which you're not going to be able to do, but attempt to lift by squeezing your quads and lifting with your hip flexors for 10 seconds, okay? So imagine pulling up on this position. So you're contracting the quads, contracting your hip flexors, and then relax for 20 seconds. So that whole combination right there takes 40 seconds, and you're going to do 2 to 3 repetitions of this, which is going to mean you're in this position for upwards of 2 minutes. Okay. Now, if you're having trouble with the contract relax, you just simply hold this position in isometric. This is your hamstring flexibility. Play with your toe position. You can even grab the toe and pull it if necessary. Play around with this a little bit. Again, if you can't do this on a chair or don't have access, this can be done just on the floor. So you find the exact same position here, contract down, squeeze to pull up, and then relax. The exact same position can be done with multiple elevations. You can even do it off of a higher elevation. It all depends on what you have access to. All right, guys, now the split isometric pails and rails. Again, this is going to be a challenging one. This is where we actually get into the compound exercise of what we're actually going to be working on. This one, you're going to have support. Now, yesterday we did an active stretch. This is not. This one, we're going to be using our blocks like we did yesterday, but with a full support. So you're allowed to lean on them as much as needed, okay? You're going to get into your best front split position. At first, you might have your back knee down. You can also experiment with the knee straightened in the back or the front one slightly bent. It doesn't really matter. You're kind of playing with where your limitations are in this position. Now, the pails and rails is a contraction, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're doing kind of like we did yesterday with the isometric, where you had a contraction on the front leg and on the back leg. You're gonna do the exact same thing, but in reverse. So you're gonna do here, you're gonna do a 10-second contraction down, where you're driving your back toe and your heel down into the ground, using your scissor effect, squeezing, 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 then relaxing and lifting, trying to squeeze your back glute and your quad on the front leg, lifting with your hip flexor, maybe bending that front knee a little bit, and then you're gonna relax, and this is where you can drop your back knee, relax for 20 seconds. Now, relax is kind of a bad word here, but essentially you're just gonna fall into the stretch. And then we do repetitions here, okay? So once my 20 seconds is up, I'll go back into a contraction. I'm gonna elevate my back leg again. We're gonna elevate and squeeze. 10, and then reverse for 10. Try and lengthen if you can, and relax. And then we go through our repetitions here, okay? So this is where all of that isolation work we did at the start with our quad stretch, geez, getting out of here, quad stretch and our hamstring contract relax is gonna pay off here, because this is where we start to enter into the deepest range of motion that we have available to us. So you get to really play and maneuver and get into the actual front split, which is where a lot of the gains that we're gonna make are gonna be made, is right here in these exercises, the compound front split practice skill exercises. Okay, so now once you've gotten through all of your contract relax work on your isolation exercises and your full compound front split, this is going to take a lot of time as well as a lot of energy. So you got to be careful when moving on. We're now just going to kind of do our cool down stretches at this point. So the first one is our forward fold, and then the second one is our reverse Nordic. Now you guys can take this at whatever intensity you like. It doesn't really matter. This is meant to just kind of relax and bring ourselves out of all of that contract relax work that we just did. So we have a standing forward fold or a seated forward fold. There's not a lot of science here as to which one's going to be better, so it's really whatever you prefer. I'm going to do the standing forward fold as is programmed because we did seated yesterday. So from here, you're going to start with by pushing the hips back as far as you can. Let the back relax, let it round, and come down with a slight knee bend if you like. Whatever's more comfortable, just come down to your in range position, and we're just going to hang here for an extended period of time. We have a slightly longer stretch, but not many repetitions here. You have, sorry, not many sets, so 1 to 2 sets, and you just relax in this position. You can do whatever you want here. You can wrap your arms around your hands or your legs, back on your heels, underneath your feet, whatever's comfortable. But let your head hang, let your back relax, okay? You're still going to feel that hamstring stretch a bit. Pull the toes up, whatever you need, but just spend some time relaxing in this forward fold posture. All right, then following the forward fold, we have a reverse Nordic quad stretch. Now, this stretch is a fairly intense one for most, but remember, it's supposed to be kind of a cool down stretch, so you can make this as intense or as relaxing as you want to make it. Now, this one is a reverse fold, so for many people, this is simply just here, this position, right? If you want to bring some of the plantar fascia in, you can bring your toes up. That's up to you, okay? If you have access to it, it'd be nice to get your elbows back onto the floor here, and you can just relax, squeeze your glutes, pull your hips up. We don't want any low back pain here. This is very, very important, no low back pain. So if you have blocks and things like that, you can use them by just simply putting them behind you, and you can go down and rest them onto your low back like this. You can sit here. You can put them lower in different positions, whatever makes sense to you. Now, I'm not sure I'll be able to get all the way down here without keeping my shins down, but that's okay. So we can just relax in this position, let the head hang again, and you can think of it as like a full front body stretch, if you will, like a front line stretch. Now, if you want to go all the way down, you're welcome to. It's kind of a harder position to hold for the times that we have set up, but you're more than welcome to if you have access to this. So just lay all the way down. You can see my knees pop up a little bit. So what I do here is I just try and relax my body and let my knees fall down, squeeze the glutes, and just play, okay? Now, sometimes that might be a bit more aggressive than is necessary for this last stretch, but again, it's your time. You play with it as you will. These are meant to just kind of pull you out of all of that intense work that we did earlier. Okay, so this will end your session, your number 2 stretching session for the front split. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.